A young woman desperately needs $50,000 for her mother's life-saving surgery. The only way to get the money is for her to marry her stepsister's reclusive billionaire fiancé, who just happens to have a criminal record. No, I am not talking about real life. I am talking about the plotline of a popular microdrama. Now, imagine that this entire story unfolds in 60 episodes, each just 90 seconds long, and it costs $20 per week to watch it. That's 10 times more expensive than Netflix's cheapest monthly subscription tier. And very quickly, these microdrama formats are making more money than traditional Hollywood projects are.
I'm Sammi Cohen, and this is Social Currency, a podcast that unpacks the stories that are shaping business, culture, and the intersection of the two.
Welcome back to Social Currency. In today's episode, we're talking about the slow death of traditional Hollywood and the rise of this very specific content format, which is quickly becoming the hot topic amongst producers and traditional Hollywood film studios. It's the ugly stepchild of Hollywood movies in a traditional sense because this format represents the TikTokification of the movie industry. Welcome to the microdrama revolution, where Chinese-backed apps are generating billions, Hollywood legends are scrambling to catch up, and the ghost of Quibi is laughing somewhere in streaming heaven saying, "I told you so." I'm talking about shows with titles like Pregnant by My Ex's Professor Dad and The Billionaire Sex Addict and His Therapist. Yes, those are real titles, and yes, millions of people are actually watching them right now. Today, we're diving into the death spiral of traditional Hollywood and the rise of these bite-sized entertainment formats that are somehow even more addictive than TikTok, more expensive than premium cable, and more profitable than anything that the studios have created in years. This is the story of how 90-second episodes conquered an industry that always thought that bigger was better. And this rising content format really tells us that our shrinking attention spans and attachment to vertical entertainment is transforming the way that traditional Hollywood operates. So let's start with some numbers because they are absolutely wild. In China, where this whole craze started, microdramas generated $6.9 billion in revenue last year. $6.9 billion. And that number actually surpassed China's domestic box office sales. These little phone videos out-earned every movie released in the world's second largest film market. So they are really, really popular, and I just need that to sink in. Now, this content format is spreading to other parts of the world too, and it's moving faster than anything that traditional Hollywood has ever seen before. ReelShort, which is the biggest microdrama app in the US, expects to hit $1 billion in revenue this year alone. Analysts are projecting the global microdrama market will reach $10 billion outside of China by 2027. And that's just 2 years from now. Meanwhile, if we look at what's happening in traditional Hollywood, it's clear that a massive shift is underway. Movie production has fled California, studios are hemorrhaging money, and many film workers struggle to find industry jobs. The entire industry is in what one executive called complete turmoil. And while Hollywood burns through hundreds of millions of dollars on movies that need to gross $500 million just to break even, these microdrama apps are spending $15,000 to $300,000 per series and printing money. There's something very unsettling about it, and this is coming from someone who lives in Los Angeles and has many close friends who work in the film industry. The entertainment capital of the world, with a century of expertise and billions of dollars in infrastructure, is getting absolutely destroyed by vertical phone videos produced in Asia for the cost of a used Honda Civic. So let's break down exactly what this content format is really all about. Microdramas are these scripted, serialized shows with episodes that last 1 to 3 minutes. That is it. You watch them vertically on your phone, which fits in well with the ways that many people are consuming content on their social media feeds now. A complete season might have anywhere from 30 to 150 episodes, which sounds insane until you realize the total viewing time of one season is roughly equivalent to the length of a feature film. But here's the thing. These microdramas are not films in the traditional sense. The content is more like a soap opera on steroids. Every other show features a handsome billionaire rescuing a damsel in distress. There are stolen inheritances, secret identities, BDSM billionaires, and apparently there are a lot of billionaires in this universe, and most of these shows feed into some kind of trope. And there's a very specific formula. These shows are engineered to establish stakes, plot tension within the first first 3 seconds. You get a dramatic hook within 23 seconds, and every episode ends on a cliffhanger. Sometimes it's a slap, sometimes someone's in danger, or there's a shocking revelation. There's always something to make you tap next episode. Essentially, if soap operas and TikTok had a baby, fed it Red Bull, and gave it a credit card, you would get a microdrama. So now let's talk about the surprising distribution platform that dominates this world. Everyone assumed that TikTok would dominate the space, right? Short form vertical video is literally TikTok's whole thing. But according to a recent study, YouTube is actually the #1 platform for microdrama viewing, capturing 44% of all views. TikTok is in second place at 38%. Together, they account for 82% of the microdrama viewership on social media, with Instagram, Facebook, and others fighting over the scraps. So why is YouTube in the #1 spot? It comes down to the scale. YouTube accounts for 12.6% of all TV usage in the US. Netflix, the supposed king of streaming, only has 8.3%. No one else even cracks 5%. YouTube's reach is so enormous that even though vertical video feels like TikTok's territory, YouTube's sheer scale makes it impossible to beat. And I want to pause here to really let this sink in. YouTube is the future of distribution for all of Hollywood. As more and more content shifts towards episodic, smaller bite-sized features, YouTube's power will continue to grow. And I'll probably have to do a whole other podcast episode on YouTube's dominance as the future of all consumed entertainment shifts to content creators and influencers. So that will be its own deep dive. But for the microdrama, the main apps are ReelShort, DramaBox, and ShortMax, names you've probably never heard of unless you're already down this rabbit hole. And here's something wild that will also shock you if you're not already immersed in this world. About 12% of all internet users have watched a microdrama. And if you narrow it down to people aged 18 to 34, that number jumps to 46%, nearly half. The Asia-Pacific region leads in consumption, especially Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines, but it's growing everywhere. And these apps are smart. They're using social media as both distribution channel and advertising funnel. ReelShort has 8.6 million Instagram followers today and 9.6 million YouTube subscribers. So they're driving millions of users through social platforms before converting them into paying customers. Now let's talk about the business model, because this is where things get fascinating. You download ReelShort or DramaBox or one of those apps, and the first 5 to 8 episodes of any show are free. You're introduced to the heroine, the handsome billionaire, or the evil stepsister. And then, just as you're getting hooked into the drama of it all, you get stopped by a paywall. If you want unlimited access to keep watching, that'll be $19.99 per week. Let me repeat that. Basically $20 per week. That's roughly $80 a month, and Netflix's cheapest tier is $8. So this is 10 times more expensive. And even though that seems absolutely ludicrous on paper, people actually pay it, which speaks to the sheer power of hooking people in with this clickbaity dramatic content. You've got alternatives. You can buy coins, which are these virtual currencies, and spend 60 coins to unlock each episode. And there are ways to earn coins. You can watch ads, complete daily check-ins, turn on notifications, give them your email address, or follow them on Instagram or Facebook. Or you can watch for free, sort of. Every day you can watch 2 to 3 more episodes without paying and then watch an ad. Or maybe you get 1 episode or 2, the number varies deliberately because variable reward schedules are more addictive than predictable ones. It feels like a game, and you never know how many episodes you're going to get that day. And here's the beautiful, horrible genius of it. They have gamified everything. You're earning coins, hitting daily milestones, getting surprise bonuses. It feels like progress. It feels like you're beating the system, but you're actually not. Because unlocking 1 episode costs 60 coins, and you're earning 20 at a time. The math never quite works out. They've mastered the psychology of how to get you hooked into their system. And if you really want to optimize your coin earning, you can download one of the Crazy Maple Studios free-to-play games. And oh yes, the company behind ReelShort also makes mobile games. So you can complete a level and earn 30 to 50 coins. Of course, in that game, you'll also be watching ads, collecting rewards, winning coins. So it's an engagement trap at every level of the ecosystem. One venture capitalist called it the aggressive freemium model because although some content is available for free, it is made so unpleasant to use the free version that paying has almost become a requirement. And users hate the pricing. If you read reviews on the App Store or Google Play, even 5-star reviews frequently complain about the pricing and reward system. One analysis found that 47.8% of all negative reviews focused on how expensive the pricing is. But here's the thing, it still works. ReelShort says it has 70 million monthly active users, with 10% of them as paid subscribers. So that's 7 million people paying substantial money for this content. And as a result of this, the company is profitable and expects to earn $1 billion in revenue this year. Although the churn rate, the percentage of people who cancel their subscription each week, is over 50%. So they need a constant stream of new content to hook new users, which is why ReelShort is producing over 400 shows this year, up from 150 last year. So now what's traditional Hollywood doing while all of this is happening? Well, in August, Lloyd Braun, former exec at ABC Entertainment and former chairman of WME, announced the launch of MicroCo, a joint venture with entertainment company Cineverse. And he brought many other tenured Hollywood executives with him to figure this out. Fox Entertainment also just announced an equity stake in Holy Water, a Ukraine-based microdrama producer with plans to create over 200 vertical titles in the next 2 years. And even Disney's accelerator program, where they invest in promising new startups, just named DramaBox to its 2025 class. So the numbers behind the microdrama craze are too strong to ignore, and the old guard is officially mobilizing. But here's the question that everyone is asking. If microdramas are such a gold mine, why didn't Hollywood think of this sooner? And the answer is, of course they did. They tried. Remember Quibi, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and Meg Whitman's spectacular 2020 failure that raised $1.75 billion only to shut down 6 months after its launch? Well, I certainly remember, so I'll tell you about it. They hired A-list celebrities and spent $100,000 to $125,000 per minute of content. And these episodes were up to 10 minutes long, and they've released 25 new episodes, about 3 hours of content every single day. But they launched with a subscription-only model. Why do these executives think that these microdrama production companies will succeed where Quibi failed? And for that, there are 3 specific reasons. First, there's cost. AI has come a long way since then, but I'll share more on that soon. Second, the business model. Freemium instead of subscription only. Third, there's the timing. In 2020, Quibi launched right as the pandemic hit and everyone was stuck at home with their TVs, not on their phones. Now in 2025, the short form vertical video habit is fully ingrained in a generation raised on TikTok and Reels. But there's also a darker reading of this, and the CEO of Cineverse said it explicitly. The entertainment business is in complete turmoil right now, and so the big studios are busy trying to put their fingers in the dike as opposed to really looking at innovative, cool new ideas. So essentially, Hollywood is so busy collapsing that innovation is happening elsewhere. Now let's talk about the secret weapon, artificial intelligence. MicroCo is planning to use AI tools throughout production to slash costs dramatically. For example, traditional TV animation costs $15,000 to $60,000 per minute. Intelligent Animation, a startup backed by Lloyd Braun's investment firm, has developed an AI-assisted process that drops the cost to as little as $1,500 per minute. So that's a 90% cost reduction. And MicroCo's CEO was careful to add that everything will have a human touch, but technology is going where it's going, and we hope to use it in the best way possible to scale our business. Now, AI is obviously a touchy subject in Hollywood. The 2023 writer and actors strikes were partly about protecting creative workers from being replaced by machines. Yet here we are, barely 2 years later, and a major Hollywood venture is openly planning to use AI as a core production strategy. Meanwhile, Chinese producers are already spending as little as $15,000 for entire seasons of microdramas. ReelShort is shooting over 400 projects this year, mostly in Los Angeles, which is creating jobs for struggling actors, writers, and crew members. One actor, Sam Najad, who was a former contestant on The Bachelorette, said that he started acting in microdramas in January, and he's been landing 1 or 2 lead roles per month since then, earning $10,000 per week. Of course, there's also a catch. Most microdrama production is non-union, and that's why some actors and writers are using pseudonyms to avoid union sanctions. Their production schedules are fast. A 100-page script might shoot in a week instead of a month. And the budgets are low. SAG-AFTRA recently created agreements specifically to cover low-budget vertical dramas, trying to bring some structure to this Wild West since it was clear that many people in the industry were going to participate on these sets. And the Writers Guild of America said that they're working to help members get coverage for this work. But there's a tension here. These shows are creating employment during an industry downturn. Actors and crew members who couldn't find work on traditional Hollywood sets are paying their rent with microdrama gigs. But are they building careers or just scrambling for gig work in a race to the bottom? And for me, I wonder about what the next step is here when AI gets so good that the AI can actually replace humans entirely and create these microdramas based on the AI characters alone without needing human intervention at all. And to make things even more philosophically interesting or depressing, depending on your perspective, the focus of these films is not about the director's point of view at all. The CEO of ReelShort was asked about the creative process, and he said something that would make every film school professor weep. He said, "A lot of these directors are thinking, when I shoot the film, I don't care about how people think. This is my creation, it's my story." No, it's not your story. Your success should be determined by the people. And everything at ReelShort is data-driven. They focus on customer retention rates, paid subscriber conversion, and completion metrics. If something isn't performing by episode 8, it's killed and resources are moved elsewhere. Famously, the ReelShort, The Double Life of My Billionaire Husband, has 494 million views and counting and made over $4 million for ReelShort. That is success, and that's what guides their future decisions. And the future of this industry is less art and perspective driven, and instead it's driven by the algorithm. This is the social media-ification of the movie and entertainment industry, and it's fueled by the engagement metrics. And if you compare this to traditional Hollywood, where directors like Christopher Nolan or Greta Gerwig or Martin Scorsese can spend years crafting a vision, the new guard doesn't care about artistic vision at all. When Microco's CEO was asked about this tension, she was careful to say that they want to give quality storytelling, but in the same breath, she added that they're not trying to be premium television. She continued to say that shows will try to establish stakes within 3 seconds and serve up a dramatic hook within 23 seconds, but that's not storytelling. That's content engineering. And the director doesn't matter anymore. The writer doesn't matter. Only the algorithm matters. Only the 23-second hook matters. What does all of this mean for the future? Gen Z and Gen Alpha are growing up on vertical video. For them, this isn't some weird experimental format. This is their native entertainment language. They've been trained by the TikTok and Instagram Reels algorithms and YouTube Shorts to consume media in bite-sized chunks on their phones. And microdramas are the next evolution of this. They're not random user-generated clips. They're professionally produced and serialized narratives that are optimized for the exact consumption pattern that they're already used to. So the question isn't whether this format will succeed. It already has. ReelShort is profitable, DramaBox is scaling, and the Hollywood legends are investing. So the question is what we're willing to sacrifice for this success. Because let's be clear about what's happening here. These aren't just cheaper shows or shorter episodes. They represent a fundamental philosophical shift in what entertainment is for. Is it art? Is it storytelling? Is it cultural commentary? Or is it just dopamine delivery? Because everything about microdramas, the freemium traps, the variable rewards, the cliffhangers, the 23-second hooks, the aggressive monetization is borrowed from the same playbook as free-to-play mobile games and social media algorithms. It's engagement maximization above all else. You know what's funny? Quibi failed because it spent too much money trying to make premium short-form content for phones. Everyone laughed and Jeffrey Katzenberg became a punchline. But the microdramas are succeeding because they don't care about premium. They don't care about prestige or cultural impact or artistic vision. All they care about is engagement and keeping you watching for just one more episode. And maybe that's what Hollywood deserves. An industry that spent decades chasing franchises and IP and safe bets is now being disrupted by an even more cynical, even more mercenary business model. It's one that doesn't even pretend to care about art or storytelling or cultural meaning. It just wants your $20 a a week and your eyeballs for 90 seconds at a time. The microdramas are eating Hollywood, but here's what keeps me up at night. What comes after the microdramas? If 90-second episodes are profitable, why not 30 seconds? If billionaire romances sell, why not just AI-generated infinite variations until we're all drowning in algorithmic slop? Will there be a breaking point when people realize that they'd prefer to not participate in this type of content at all, despite how addictive it might be? We thought that TikTok was bad for our attention spans, but we had no idea what was coming. And now Hollywood, the supposed guardians of storytelling and keepers of cinematic art, is racing to copy them. And that is a wrap for all of my thoughts on the rise of the Hollywood microdrama. Thank you for listening, and I am dying to know your thoughts, so please let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Social Currency. I've been wanting to launch this show for so long. I can't tell you how excited I am to do this and how thrilled I am that you're actually here listening. It means the world to me. If you liked what you heard today, please rate and review the podcast because it massively helps to support the work I do to bring the show to life. And if you want to keep up with the hottest business lore in real time, follow me on Instagram at Sammi Cohen Talks and subscribe to my newsletter, Social Currency, which is linked in the show notes. Social Currency is a production of Social Currency Media and Money News Network. The podcast is hosted and executive produced by me, Sammi Cohen. Social Currency is produced by the Money News Network team. See you next time.